Hello everyone. Today the topic is heredity. Heredity is transmission of characters from one generation to the next and it is dealt under genetics. So, genetics is a branch of science that deals with inheritance and variation of characters from parents to offspring, and the term genetics was coined by Batson, and George Mendel was considered as the father of genetics. The next thing is inheritance. Inheritance is the procedure, how the transmission of characters from parents to offspring is going on are considered as inheritance. It's a period of heredity. Mendelian genetics or classical genetics is the next thing. So Mendel has conducted hybridization experiment on which plant? Garden pea, and he proposed theory of inheritance. He worked for 7 years on 7 characters or 14 variants. So there is a difference between character and traits. So character is a feature on which we can have so many kinds of variants, and that variants are called traits. As for example, if we consider the character like stem length, we can have two variants, tall and dwarf. Mendel has chosen garden pea. Why he has chosen garden pea? Because garden pea has a number of contrast pair of character. They have a very short time or short lifespan. It means in a single year we can have 2 to 3 generation. The plants are bisexual or they are having self-pollinated, or we can have a pure line. But Mendel artificially cross-pollinate them also. And in a garden pea, we can have a number of fertile seeds in a single mating. So if there is a large number of population, we can have a minimum chance of error. He has considered 7 characters, like 2 characters from flower, 2 characters from pod, 2 characters from seed, 1 characters from height. In a single characters, he can have 2 kind of trait, dominant and the recessive one. So he has performed 2 kind of crosses also, monohybrid cross and dihybrid cross. If we consider the inheritance of one gene, it is called your monohybrid cross. So the steps of monohybrid cross taken by Mendel was: first, selection of parents. The parent should be true breed or a true line. For taking a true line, he has allowed the plants for selfing or self-pollination. And if he was getting a single kind of character for several generations, he considered that character as a true breed. The next step is artificial hybridization among the selected plant, and the third step is self-pollination among F1. So in case of artificial hybridization, he considered 2 kind of traits like tall and dwarf. Dwarf plant are considered as female while the tall plant are considered as male. So in both of these plants there is androecium and gynoecium. He first emasculate the dwarf plant so that there is less chances of self-pollination, and then back the gynoecium so that no anther can deposit over there. After maturity, the gynoecium should exposed or debagged, and the anther from the tall plant was dusted over this gynoecium. So there is self-pollination and they produce the filial first generation, and he allowed them for selfing or self-pollination. So these two gametes will produce 2 kinds of progeny, tall and dwarf. So we can have the from this cross 3 tall plants and 1 dwarf plant. So the phenotypic ratio will become 3:1. While we are going towards the genotype, we can have 1:2:1 ratio. So what are the observation? he observed the F1 generation parents have only one character, and that character is the dominant one. They are having some character, and that characters are hidden, and he called him as a recessive trait. In F2 generation, both kind of trait will appear in the ratio of 3:1. So finally he concluded traits are parental type. It means there is no blending or mixing of character. Since he has taken tall and dwarf, he was getting only tall and dwarf kind of plant. So he strongly suggests that something stably passed down unchanged from parents to offspring through gametes, and he called it factors. Nowadays, this factor is called as genes. So factors or genes codes for a pair of contrasting character, and it is called allele. Alleles are slightly different form of the same gene. So there are two kinds of allele, homozygous and heterozygous. According to his formulation, he has proposed principle of inheritance in a form of three laws. The first law is law of dominance, the second law is law of segregation, and the third law is law of independent assortment. Thank you.